poor P. Diddy's got another bad story that came out about him that we're going to talk about right now. So let's get into it. I will be in Mexico as you guys are watching this, but nonetheless, I'm still dropping that fire for you guys to watch while I'm gone. So let's talk about P. Diddy and his alleged drug use, because apparently the guy is a junkie. But I mean, listen, dude, I guess it depends on what your definition of junkie is. You know, I think junkie, I think a person who has lost everything and is a slave to the drugs, not someone who uses drugs all the time. I would just say Diddy is a drug addict, you know, like that's how I would have described it. But nonetheless, I think junkie's better because it will piss Diddy off more. You know what I mean? So let's talk about that, and we will rock and roll. So take a look at this, dude. According to Roger Bonds, Diddy always had his alleged medicine bag nearby. As Diddy continues to face backlash for the damning accusations made against him and the multitude of lawsuits he's facing, only more allegations are surfacing. Past partners, collaborators, and peers have come forward with their own recounts of the mogul's behavior, including Roger Bonds, who is his former bodyguard. He worked closely alongside Diddy for several years and claimed to have witnessed a lot of abuse against Cassie. Now, this is actually a really interesting part of the story. That is actually what caught my attention, is he talks about Diddy's behavior after he would beat the shit out of Cassie, which I found very interesting. He also went through his alleged drug abuse, which we're going to watch right here. There's a video of him talking about. He alleges that Diddy would ask those close to him to obtain prescription medication for him under their names, including Cassie and himself. This seemingly corroborates some of the accusations now settled in the lawsuits. All right, so check this out. Let's watch this, and we'll discuss.
By 2010, you know, like I said, Diddy already had one apartment for Cassie in New York, but he went and got her another apartment in LA, which is about 5 minutes away from his house. You knew about that apartment?
Yes.
Okay. So now she has two apartments.
Right.
And she said that, you know, over the, you know, a few years that Diddy introduced her to a lifestyle of excessive alcohol and substance abuse that required her to procure illicit prescriptions to satisfy his own addictions. She said Diddy would have other in the open like candy. And at first, Cassie was given prescriptions that he had gotten from his doctor in Miami, but eventually he ran out of pills, so he demanded that she would get her own prescriptions in her own name and then give those to him. Do you know about this at all?
Yes.
What kind of were these?
You had all type. You had, you had.
He's saying opioids for the record. He said Percocets.
That's basically the two that I know about, because I really don't know those type of stuff. But I think everybody went, when we got to Miami, everybody would go to the pharmacy and pick his shit up in their name, you know? Even one time, I believe I went and picked up something in my name one time. You know what I'm saying?
Really? And then you gave it to Diddy?
And I just gave it to Diddy, yeah. You know, but he would do that on the regular. So at that point, I thought it was because he was Diddy and just didn't want to go into CVS.
So that's what's interesting about that is, like, I certainly have no ability to judge anybody who gets hooked on opioids, but I don't think it's super smart to have a bunch of people around you who know, you know what I mean? There's got to be a better way for Diddy to be able to get him than to have his entire inner circle know he's a pill and drug addict. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be a better way if you've got money like that to get him, if money's no object.
But he had doctors that would just write him a prescription for whatever he wanted.
Do you think that Diddy at this time was
I know he was a junkie at this time.
How many did he take in a day?
I had no idea knowing how many he would take, but he had a bag that he would carry with him every day, and it was up to the assistant or even the security to carry this bag. It was called, he had a name for it. It was called the medicine bag.
The medicine bag.
And in this medicine bag would be everything that he need, all the Sierras, everything.
He said Viagra's right there. Why are they blocking these words out?
Everything was in this medical bag right here. So, you know, sometime I would get it and look at it and be like, what the fuck is all these for? But he definitely had some doctors in Miami that would write whatever you wanted. And it wouldn't all be in his name. It would be in his assistant's name and anybody else that was around.
Did you ever take yourself?
I actually did.
Okay.
I actually did.
Keeping it honest, all right.
You know, no, I'm going to keep it all the way honest. It was times where I was up 24 hours, 48 hours, and when you're around this type of situation, you try it. And I actually did try it. I had took ecstasy at that time. And I found myself kind of staying up because of this. You know what I'm saying? And I had to get away from that.
That is the sound of an inexperienced user right there. That's good, dude. That's a good thing. You know what I mean? You don't want to sound like I mean, you know, well, I mean, it depends. If you have experience, then you sound like you have experience. But like, he very clear. He's like, I did try it. You know, one time I did ecstasy. It's like, yeah, how'd that go? He's like, I couldn't sleep. You're all, yeah, no shit. That's because they cut those things with meth, you know? Like, that's the difference between MDMA and ecstasy, generally speaking, ends up being straight up illicit, illegal things that they mix and then they press them into pills, which is why ecstasy is generally much more fun than just doing MDMA by itself. Says, I have heard that is the case. But, you know, more bad news for Diddy, you know, just more bad news for Diddy. And then you got this one, okay? You got this one too that just came out. You got Cassie once punched Diddy in the face during an intense brawl. This just never ends, dude. This just absolutely never ends. And that same guy who did the video we just watched, he said he was happy to see Cassie fight back. I would imagine I would be as well, because if I saw a dude beat the shit out of a girl a bunch of times, I would be like, I think it's time. You know, time for this guy to get his. The public has certainly heard no shortage of disturbing allegations about Diddy in recent months, many of which pertain to his tumultuous relationship with his ex-girlfriend, Cassie. The songstress sued him in November last year, accusing him of sexual assault, abuse, and much more. They settled shortly after she filed the next day. Though last month footage of him assaulting her at a hotel resurfaced online, of course, this appeared to corroborate some of her allegations. Yeah, no, you mean like it 100% corroborated her allegations. So now you got Roger Bond coming out. So let's listen to this part about their fight. I'm not going to remember Vlad. Jeez. Don't be self-something. Great guy.
Well, according to her lawsuit, there was another incident that happened in New York after a party with Jay-Z. It was in an Escalade. And she said that Diddy started to beat her, kick her, and so forth. He forced her out of the car on Fifth Avenue in New York. She eventually got a cab and got to her apartment in Manhattan, where she basically came home, cried in fear, and she spent 3 days in her apartment.
Jesus, man. Jeez, these are terrible, terrible stories.
Do you know about this incident?
I know about the incident, but I wasn't there for that night. Because when we went to New York, Paulie would take over.
Right. Paulie was the New York guy.
Right.
You were the out-of-town guy.
This is what it looks like when someone's telling the truth. Make a note of this guy's body language, his inflection. This is what it sounds like when someone is telling the truth.
Yeah.
Got it. But you did see a fight when you guys were in a Cadillac at one point.
Yes.
And you guys were driving.
Yes.
Describe what happened.
Her and Puff was fighting, and I broke it up again. And I put Puff in the front seat, and I put Cassie in the back seat. And he was just sitting there, and I was like, yo, y'all can't be acting up like this, man. And then Cassie had punched him in the face, rightfully. She punched him in the face, and they started fighting, and I had the window open. And people started pulling up. Oh, shit, that's Diddy and Cassie in there fighting, and I'm trying to roll the window up at the same time. So in my mind, I was happy because I actually seen her fight back. In my mind, I was happy. And then when we got to the house, I pulled both of them out. And at this time, I was able to grab Puff. And I was able to start walking him up the hill. We lived in Beverly Hills. So I started walking him up the hill. And then Cassie ran behind me and she kicked him. You know what I'm saying? And when he went to chase her, I grabbed him again. And I was able to stop it. So these are the things that people don't talk about. So I was able to stop it at that time, and then later on they went in the house. It was almost like they would stay in the room for 2-3 days at a time, doing nothing but getting high. And then when they came out the room, it was like a different person. Cassie would be like a whole different type of person. She was very quiet. She started really not talking. And that's when I started realizing, like, she's at the point where she's just terrified.
Or she's spracked out of her gourd. If they were in there for 2 days getting high, she probably hadn't slept, dude. And so she comes out and her brain is on boop, boop, boop. And she's like, hi, Roger. Roger. He's all, Roger? So Roger. He's like, are you all right? She's all, oh, yeah, I'm good. He's like, you don't look very good. Hey. I mean, no. I mean, you look good, but like, you don't look very good. Don't say that around Puff. He'll beat you up and he'll beat me up. Something tells me, actually, that Puff is not beating this guy at all. Like if he's like, yeah, I was able to grab Puff and restrain him, it's probably like, this guy's probably no joke, dude. But that's terrible, honestly, dude. You know, if you look at Cassie, you could tell, like, she's not the kind of person who had probably ever lived a lifestyle like that at all. You know? She's like a clean girl. She's 19. She's like, yeah, I just want to be a singer. I just want to be a singer. And 6 years later, her and Puff are locking themselves in a room and doing drugs for 2 straight days. Yeesh. That's gross, man. I don't care how famous and rich you are. Like, that's a gross scene.
Well, when she punched Diddy in the face in the car, I guess she had a ring on?
Yeah, she had a ring on. She had a monkey ring on. And the reason I remember this monkey ring on is because Uncle Paulie had left this same ring in L.A. one time. And he said, yo, Bonds, when you get to the house in L.A., yo, I left Cassie ring. So I said, okay, I'll get it. So I got the ring and I put it in a tissue. And you know how you just empty your pockets out one day? I emptied my pockets out and I threw the ring away. And this ring was a $10,000 ring.
Yikes.
So I just threw it away. So when I went back to Ralph's to look in the parking lot, it wasn't there. So I went to, I forgot the jeweler name, famous jeweler on Fifth Avenue. It's Loren, something Loren. And I went to her. She knew who I was. Mm-hmm. And she gave me the same ring again on a payment plan. And I said, yo, I can't go back and tell them I lost this ring. And she said, okay, I'm going to give you the ring, Bonds, but you got to pay me $1,000 every month.
He's good people, dude. He's good people. He needs a payment plan for a $10,000 ring. Okay, that means he doesn't have money. And he did it anyway because he is not going to be the guy who's like, hey, man, I was irresponsible. It's like it was his responsibility. He lost a ring. I respect this guy a lot. I don't know if I've told this story. I'm not sure if I've ever told this story, actually. But I will tell you guys now. So, long time ago, when I first started going to Vegas, I was in my mid-20s. And I had been there a few times. Like, actually, I'd gone a fair number of times. But, like, it was still when I was, like, pretty young. And we ended up going. This guy that I used to hang out with when we would go there was actually buddies with some people who work for the UFC. And he knew a bunch of fighters, right? And he took me to Trist. He's like, yeah, dude, a bunch of guys are going to be, they've got a couple tables at Trist. That was inside of the, what do you call it? The, oh my God, the Encore at the Wynn, inside the Wynn. So we go in there. Tito was there. That's the first time I saw Tito. And his head was the size of a balloon. He's got the biggest head ever. So we're at this table. And I don't know anybody there except for the dude who brought me there and then this one other buddy who was there in Vegas with me. And I'm just standing there, right? Like I'm literally doing nothing. I'm not drunk, nothing. Like I had been playing poker the whole weekend. So I was chilling, not drunk, not swaying, nothing. This huge ass, diesel ass dude is dancing with this girl and he's swinging her around, whatever. And she smashed into my back and I fell over and I stopped. kind of put my hand down on the table because I was going to fall. And the table tipped over and 2 bottles of Grey Goose just spilled. Like the whole place, like, and everybody's looking at me. And I look and like the way that like they thought that I had just been blacked out drunk and just like fell over on this table. Right. And I'm like, what the fuck am I? And the dude who had brought me there looked at me like, and I, like, what are you gonna do? Hey, this huge dude right here threw his fucking girl into me, dude. You think I just fell over? What do you think? I got drunk in 1 second? I didn't do this shit. So before anything happened, the waitress comes over and she's like, you need to leave. And check this out. It's the fucking girl with the Asian fake girl with the fake tits from the real world in Paris. That's how old school this shit is, dude. You remember, I don't know if you guys remember, but like there was the real world Paris. And it was that Asian girl. She had like nice hair, whatever, fake tits. And like she was the waitress. Okay. And she came over, she's like, you need to leave. I'm like, I'm not drunk. And she's like, you knocked these over. You need to go. I'm like, how about I just buy the 2 bottles? And she's like, they're $800, or she's like, they're $700 each. And I was like, okay, cool. I don't know. I had probably $3,000 on me. I had $3,000 on me because I was playing poker, not because $1,400 was not a lot of money to me at the time. This is like, I'm like fucking out of college for a year or something. You know what I mean? It was a lot of money, but not so much money that I was going to walk out of there to save the money. Like even though it wasn't my fault at all, I just was like, you know what? I am not that fucking guy. So I was like, I'm like, okay, here. And I gave her the $1,400. She's all, that doesn't include tip. And I was like, is another 100 good? And I just gave it to her like it was nothing. I'm just like, here. Now, that was not because I was balling. Again, it was because my embarrassment. Like, I'm not that fucking guy, dude. The rest of the night, she kept on. Now, the waitress kept on talking to me about money. Okay. Like, it was so weird, dude. She thought because I just dropped, $1,500, like, just like that, like it was no big deal, that meant that I was like balling super hard. So she just kept on talking to me about successful people and money and whatever. And in my head, I'm like, this is, I'm not going to like correct her. Oh, that doesn't, I did it because I was embarrassed. I didn't do it because I have fucking money like that, bitch, But my point is like, even though that bitch fucking slammed into me, the other one, it was me who ran into the table, so I'm going to pay for the fucking bottles, Anyway, I don't know why that just made me think of that.
And I said, okay. And lo and behold, it was a see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil ring.
The 3 monkeys.
The 3 monkeys.
Yeah.
But this was a see no evil. So the ring that she gave me was a hear no evil.
Oh.
Everything else was the same. And once again, when Cassie got in the room alone with Puff, for some reason, she was afraid, and the next thing I heard was, Bonds, pick up the phone, pick up the phone. And I picked up the phone, and he said, yo, what happened? You lost the ring? You lost Cassie's ring? And I said, yeah, I lost the ring. He said, why you ain't tell me? I said, why should I tell you? I said, you always arguing with people about not handling things themselves. So I went down to the jeweler, I took responsibility, and I got another ring. He said, yeah, but that's not exactly the ring. You had to really look at it and see that it was different. And he left it at that. But that was just one of the reasons why I couldn't really talk to Cassie and couldn't really help Cassie, because when she was on drugs, she would tell him everything.
So it's almost like 2 crackheads that are always fighting each other in a way, just high off drugs and just beating each other up, like the shit you see in the street almost.
Yes.
Because they're all high on drugs as all this is happening.
Yeah, they all the time. And then they would get the IVs in the morning and have the people come shoot them up with nutrients and things like that. And then the next thing would happen again. They wouldn't do these type of things in the house most of the time. It was like we had houses in.
Listen, don't knock having an IV girl. I have an IV girl. She came the other day because Gabrielle was sick. It's the bomb, dude. Okay?
Well, he had houses in L.A., but he would say, yo, this Friday, me and Cassie going to a hotel. And they would go from Friday to Monday. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever they was doing, they didn't want people that lived in the house with him. Like, I lived in the house. One of his assistants lived in the house. The stuff that they was doing and the people that was coming to see him, they didn't want no...
Hey, you know exactly what they were doing. Now you know what they were doing. They were having people come through and smash Cassie's little ass into pieces, dude. That was Diddy like, I want you to bend that little thing over a coffee table and turn her into a blow-up doll. Bang, 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 bang. Cassie, I want you to look me directly in the eyes while you do it too. That's what I want. And if you don't, I'm going to kill this dude and I'm going to beat you half to death. Diddy's a scumbag. That's probably enough of this video. I love you guys. Bye-bye.